Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Growing up as Isabella Kensington's daughter wasn't easy. Every breath I took, every step I made, was carefully monitored and judged. My father, the CEO of Kensington Enterprises, had my entire life planned out before I could even walk. "Amelia, darling," he'd say, adjusting his perfectly pressed Armani suit. "A Kensington never settles for second best." Our mansion in Beverly Hills stood as a testament to that philosophy. 28 rooms of carefully curated luxury, each one screaming wealth and power. But to me, it felt more like a golden cage than a home. By the time I turned 25, I had followed my father's blueprint perfectly. Harvard Business School graduate, junior executive at Kensington Enterprises, and engaged to Harrison Vanderbilt III, heir to Vanderbilt Global, and my father's handpicked choice for my husband. There was just one small problem. I was desperately, hopelessly in love with someone else. What would you do if you were forced into a life you didn't want? Follow your heart or your family's expectations? Let me know in the comments. I met Ethan Parker on a rainy Tuesday morning when my Ferrari broke down on the way to work. He was the mechanic who came to my rescue, arriving in a beaten-up tow truck with a smile that made my heart skip a beat. "Looks like your timing belt shot," he said, wiping his hands on his worn jeans. "I can fix it, but it'll take a few hours." Something about his honest brown eyes and the way he explained everything without talking down to me made me agree to wait at his small garage instead of calling an Uber. That decision changed my life forever. Over cups of terrible vending machine coffee, I discovered Ethan wasn't just any mechanic. He'd worked his way through engineering school, graduating top of his class. He could have taken a cushy corporate job, but he loved working with his hands, solving problems, making things better. "Life's too short to spend it doing something just because it looks good on paper," he told me, his eyes twinkling. Those words hit me like a thunderbolt. For the first time, someone had put into words exactly what I'd been feeling all my life. One coffee led to another, then dinner, then stolen moments whenever I could escape my suffocating world. Ethan never asked about my family's wealth and never tried to impress me with fancy restaurants or expensive gifts. Instead, he showed me the joy of simple things: midnight drives along the coast, picnics in hidden parks, and laughter. So much laughter. For 6 months, I lived a double life. Society princess by day, myself by night. But I knew it couldn't last forever. The breaking point came during a charity gala at our mansion. Harrison was droning on about merger strategies to anyone who would listen, while my mother paraded me around like a prize thoroughbred. "Amelia will be taking over the East Coast operations after the wedding," she announced to yet another group of socialites. The Vanderbilts and Kensingtons. Imagine the possibilities. I felt like I was suffocating. Excusing myself, I fled to the garden, my trembling fingers already dialing Ethan's number. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered into the phone, tears streaming down my face. "I can't marry Harrison. I can't be who they want me to be." Ethan was silent for a moment before speaking. "Then don't be. Be who you are, Amelia. That's the person I fell in love with." That night changed everything. The next morning, I walked into my father's study, my heart pounding but my resolve firm. "Daddy, I need to tell you something." My voice shook slightly. "I can't marry Harrison. I'm in love with someone else." The explosion that followed was nuclear. My father's face turned purple as I explained about Ethan and about wanting a different life than the one he planned. "A mechanic?" he roared, his fist slamming onto his mahogany desk. "My daughter, a Kensington, in love with a grease monkey? He's an engineer, Daddy, and he's brilliant. If you just meet him." "Absolutely not." My father's voice could have shattered glass. "You will marry Harrison as planned, or you can forget about your trust fund, your position at the company, everything. Is that clear?" I stood up straighter, channeling strength I didn't know I had. "Crystal clear, Daddy. Goodbye." Walking out of that study was the hardest thing I'd ever done. My mother's hysterical tears, my father's threats, the whispers of the household staff, it all followed me as I packed a small bag and left the only home I'd ever known. Ethan was waiting for me outside his modest apartment, worry etched on his face. When I told him what happened, he tried to talk me out of it. Amelia, that's your whole life you're giving up, your family, your inheritance. I can't let you do that for me. I silenced him with a kiss. I'm not giving up my life, Ethan. I'm finally starting it. The next few months were a crash course in reality. I moved into Ethan's one-bedroom apartment, got a job as an entry-level business consultant at a small firm, and learned how to live on a budget. It wasn't easy, but for the first time in my life, I felt free. My parents' attempts to bring me to my senses ranged from emotional manipulation to outright threats. They froze my accounts, canceled my credit cards, and even tried to get me fired from my new job. But with each obstacle, Ethan and I grew stronger together. When we decided to get married, we planned a simple ceremony in a local park. No designer dress, no society photographers, just us and a few close friends. The morning of the wedding, I received a text from my mother. Your father and I will be attending. One last chance to fix this mistake. My heart raced as I showed Ethan the message. He squeezed my hand. It's your call, love. Whatever you want. I wanted them there. Despite everything, they were still my parents. So when I walked down the makeshift aisle in my simple white dress from a department store, my eyes instantly found them standing at the back. My father looked like he'd swallowed something sour, while my mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Neither moved to join the ceremony. During the reception, a casual barbecue in the park, they made their final play. Amelia, darling, my mother's voice dripped with desperation. It's not too late. Harrison would still take you back. Think about what you're throwing away. My father cut straight to the point. This is your last chance, young lady. Stay with this person, and you'll never see a penny of your inheritance. Is that what you want? To live in poverty? I looked at Ethan, who was chatting and laughing with our friends, completely at ease in his rented suit. Then I looked at my parents, trapped in their world of wealth and expectations. What I want, I said clearly, is to be happy. Ethan makes me happy. If you can't understand that, then maybe we don't need your money or you in our lives. My father's face turned that dangerous shade of purple again. You're no daughter of mine, he spat, turning on his heel. My mother hesitated for a moment, then hurried after him. As they stormed away, Ethan appeared at my side, wrapping an arm around my waist. Are you okay? I leaned into him, watching my past walk away. Never better. That was 6 months ago. We settled into our life together, working hard, loving harder. Ethan continued at his garage while taking night classes for his master's degree. I threw myself into my consulting work, building my own client base. We were happy, truly happy, even if we had to watch our spending and clip coupons. But there was something Ethan hadn't told me. Something that was about to turn my world upside down again. Everything changed on a seemingly ordinary Friday evening. I came home from work early, excited to surprise Ethan with takeout from our favorite Thai place. But our apartment was empty, with a hastily scribbled note on the counter. Working late at the garage. Love you. It wasn't unusual for Ethan to work late, but something felt different. Lately, he'd been distracted, taking mysterious phone calls and working odd hours. A knot formed in my stomach as my mind wandered to dark places. Was history repeating itself? Was I about to lose everything again? Unable to sit still, I decided to bring dinner to him at the garage. But when I pulled up, the place was dark. Ethan's beaten-up truck wasn't in its usual spot. My hands trembled as I called his number, straight to voicemail. Just as panic started to set in, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Parker, please come to 1875 Highland Avenue immediately. It's about your husband. My heart stopped. Highland Avenue was in the industrial district, miles from Ethan's garage. With shaking fingers, I typed the address into my GPS and drove through the darkening city, imagining worst-case scenarios. The GPS led me to a massive modern building with sleek glass walls. Security gates opened automatically as I approached, and a uniformed guard directed me to an underground parking garage. Mrs. Parker, he nodded respectfully. Take the executive elevator to the top floor. Executive elevator? Top floor? What was going on? The elevator opened into a stunning office suite with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And there, standing at a glass desk with his back to me, was Ethan. But not the Ethan I knew. Gone were the worn jeans and oil-stained t-shirt. Instead, he wore an impeccably tailored suit that probably cost more than our monthly rent. When he turned around, his familiar warm smile was tinged with nervousness. "Millie," he said softly, using his special nickname for me. "I think it's time I told you everything." Before he could continue, the office door burst open. And there, like a scene from my worst nightmare, stood my father, mother, and Harrison Vanderbilt III. "What is the meaning of this?" My father thundered, his face already turning that familiar shade of purple. "Security said Amelia was headed up here. What are you doing in the CEO's office, you mechanic?" Ethan straightened his tie and walked around the desk. "Actually, Mr. Kensington, I am the CEO. Ethan Parker, founder and chief executive officer of Parker Technologies." The silence that followed was deafening. My mother grabbed a chair for support. Harrison's mouth hung open unattractively, and my father, for the first time in my life, was speechless. But, my mother stammered. "You're a mechanic." Ethan smiled, taking my hand. "I own a chain of auto repair shops, yes. It was my first business, started with a loan from my college professor. But Parker Technologies is my main focus. We're a tech company specializing in revolutionary electric vehicle batteries. That's what those late nights at the garage were about. We were finalizing our new prototype." My head was spinning. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to know," Ethan said softly, turning to face me. "When we met, I just made the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Cytosol, every woman I dated was only interested in my money and my status. But you fell in love with me when I was just a mechanic. You gave up everything for me. I had to be sure." Parker Technologies. My father muttered, his business mind finally catching up. The company that just revolutionized electric vehicle battery technology. The one every major car manufacturer is fighting to partner with. That's you?" Ethan nodded. "Our market valuation hit $12.2 billion last week. Not quite Kensington Enterprises territory, but we're getting there." I couldn't help but laugh at my father's expression. All those months of looking down on my poor husband and Ethan had been building an empire right under their noses. "And now," Ethan continued, his voice taking on a sharper edge, "I'd like to discuss how you treated your daughter. The woman who, by the way, just became one of the largest shareholders in Parker Technologies when she married me." My father's face paled. Kensington Enterprises had been trying to break into the electric vehicle market for years. Having a connection to Parker Technologies would have been a game changer. "Now see here," my father blustered, trying to regain control. "We were just looking out for Amelia's best interests." "Betrayal." Ethan's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "By trying to get her fired? By making her cry herself to sleep for weeks?" "Daddy." I finally found my voice. "You always taught me that Kensingtons never settle for second best." Well, I didn't. I married the most brilliant, kind, and successful man I've ever known, and I did it without knowing about any of this. "Amelia, sweetheart." My mother stepped forward, arms outstretched. "We were wrong. We see that now. Please come home." I looked around the magnificent office, then at Ethan, my wonderful husband who had let me find my own way, support myself, and grow stronger. "I am home, Mom. But if you want to be part of our lives, you'll have to accept us on our terms. No more manipulation. No more control." My father looked like he was choking on something particularly unpleasant. "And what about Kensington Enterprises?" Ethan smiled. "Well, sir, we've actually had several offers from your competitors for exclusive partnerships. But I thought, given the family connection, we might consider a different arrangement if you're interested in discussing it as equals." The next hour was surreal. My father and Ethan talked business, while my mother fussed over my terrible apartment and insisted we move into a proper home. Harrison had slunk away somewhere, probably to lick his wounds. Later that night, Back in our small apartment, I finally asked Ethan the question that had been burning in my mind. Why keep working at the garage? Why live like this when you have billions? Ethan pulled me close. The garage keeps me grounded, reminds me where I started. And this apartment, these months with you, they've been the happiest of my life. We made it ours together, without any silver spoons or trust funds. Tears welled in my eyes. I love you, you sneaky billionaire. He laughed. I love you too, you runaway heiress. Life changed after that night, but not in the ways people might expect. We did move, but into a modest house we chose together. I joined Parker Technologies as head of their charitable foundation, using our resources to help other young entrepreneurs. Ethan still spends time at his original garage, teaching mechanical skills to underprivileged youth. My parents, well, they're trying. Mom still makes not-so-subtle hints about grandchildren needing trust funds. But Dad has developed a genuine respect for Ethan. Their weekly business meetings often turn into lengthy discussions about everything from classic cars to philosophy. As for me, I finally understood what Ethan meant about life being too short to live it on paper. Sometimes the best things come disguised as broken-down Ferraris and coffee from vending machines. But the best part? Every now and then, when we drive past our old apartment or grab Thai from our favorite takeout place, Ethan still looks at me the same way he did when he was just a mechanic, and I was just a rebel heiress. Because in the end, love doesn't care about bank accounts or business empires. It cares about who you are when everything else is stripped away. And we were simply Amelia and Ethan, a mechanic and a runaway heiress who found something better than billions. We found each other. If you had to choose between a life of luxury with no real love or a simple life with true love, which would you pick? Let me know your answer in the comment box below.